Hi and welcome to this week's... I really tried.
Aborted takeoff, is it?
Well, that lasted about as long as an Elon Musk space mission. Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 Splash.
I like the way you're trying to throw shade on someone that's trying to make fucking rocket shit.
Well, he's not getting it right, so it's not.
No, it's rocket science.
It's not brain surgery. Shall we try again?
Start again.
Shall we leave that in?
That's fine.
It's nearly Christmas. That's in lieu of the Christmas tape.
Yeah.
Right. How are we all after missing a week last week? Thank you for. I'm not going to mention the brand of laptop that I want to take a large axe to.
No. And it was a proper fucking a proper technical breakdown, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It's been taken away by the laptop doctors.
No, it was a slightly swarthy looking bloke in a van with the name of a large electrical retailer on the side that's very similar to kind of an Asian meal, shall we say, who had to put a pair of safety gloves on to press the button on the tail lift on the back of his truck.
Oh.
I don't know
PC ramen? Noodles?
Yeah, that's the ones, PC ramen.
We got 20 minutes or so of the as yet unreleased Patreon. Mm-hmm. You just went entirely.
Yeah.
Lee and I talked amongst ourselves for 45 minutes, and they're not coming back, are they? No. All right.
I think with every attempted repair to the laptop, it got progressively less functional.
Oh, nuts.
Yeah, it started out the Wi-Fi adapter went, and then the whole thing just died, and then the motherboard burnt out.
So that's off with chow mein doctor. Oh, that sounds racist, doesn't it? I was trying to think of any Asian dish.
It only sounds racist when you stop yourself from saying it. Going, oh, that sounds really racist.
Yeah, Nasi Goreng Electronics have got it at the minute.
I was only thinking the other day that if it was the 80s, there definitely would have been a wrestler called Kimchi now.
Who's to say there isn't someone? Are we turning this into a Patreon show? Because the chances of diverting this conversation to Formula One are getting minimal.
That'd be the Patreon show we've decided we don't have time to do.
Yeah, that would be the one. Right, there's been two Grand Prix.
We'll talk about Formula One in 2 seconds. I just want to let the audience know about just how happy I am.
Are you eating something?
Back in WWE. I'm eating a Turkish delight. I just want everyone to know how happy I am. CM Punk's back in Formula One in WWE. Carry on with the podcast.
Yeah, we've done a sports pop. We've sent them Sergei Sorokin. It's getting battered at the moment.
I mean, he spent most of the season getting battered in a car, so...
Yeah, fair.
Right, so we've had...
However, Kane is like 2/10 quicker than Lance Stroll.
Oh, this is going to go bad. I knew I should have 1, written notes, 2, started earlier, and 3, probably not got out of bed this morning.
Formula One. We can do it.
We can. This is in lieu of doing a Patreon show this week. We're talking Formula One and utter bollocks at the same time. However, there will be no mention or no readings of Danny Ricciardo's neck.
No.
Save that for another time.
We'll save that for another time. We have found book 2, though.
Oh, no.
Yep, the pole sitter always rings twice.
I don't think, but he does. I don't think that's what the pole sitter's about. Rigging twice.
Who's the pole sitter in this situation? I mean, I get technical, but is number 2 a bit of a pegging drama? We don't know.
Moves are being made to get Anita Driver on the show. We found out where Anita Driver is thanks to our crack team of investigators in the Michigan area. So, there have been 2 races since we were here last. One of them controversial and quite exciting. Mm-hmm. And then Abu Dhabi.
It was okay.
It was okay for Abu Dhabi, which is fairly bland for any other race.
Yeah, but if you I mean, Max was kind of raced a little bit at the beginning, and then if you take him out of the equation when he just sort of stretched his legs, everything else was pretty good.
There was a good contest for the podium, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that had to be the ultimate Ferrari move, didn't it? Letting somebody go past you so that you could increase a position in the Constructors' Championship.
But not doing it right.
And then not do it.
Yeah.
You know, remember back in... Was it when Lando got his first podium during it was pandemic time? Must be the first race back after pandemic.
In Austria.
Yeah, Austria.
They had Stallard on the radio saying to him, okay, 5.3, 5.2, 5.1, 4.8, give it all you got, to get within that 5 seconds of Lewis's penalty. Mm. If they wanted to absolutely dick over Mercedes, why didn't they get on the radio to Leclerc and say, okay, he's 4.4 ahead, he's 4.7 ahead, he's 4.9, now cane it. And, get half a second on, I was about to say Rosberg, Russell in the last 4 corners. They could really have done that.
Would have required thought, which is not always the Ferrari way of doing things.
Not greatly, no. We're going to do a season review at some point when we've got working computers, working heads, and a little bit more time.
Yeah,
and possibly even a working flood.
That'd be nice.
But I mean, just going back to the whole Las Vegas thing, you would think they would have checked the bloody drain covers. I know this is old news by now.
Yeah, but it's happened at every street circuit, hasn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has. It's happened at them, sometime into them racing at those street circuits.
It's happened at Monaco in the last 10 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it took out Barrichello during a race, didn't it?
I can't help feel that there is entities within Formula One that, because that was the first race that Formula One put on its own, don't like the idea of an independent Formula One as a sole show, and they were going out of their way to make problems worse than they would have done for another promoter.
Well, I don't know. I mean, one thing that I did see, and I don't know how accurate this is, but given the way that laws work in certain US cities, it's possibly very likely. Apparently, it's against city ordinances to weld drain covers down in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I saw that as well. It's mad if so.
Yeah.
But you would think if that's a written law that people know about, they would think about, oh, hang on, that's going to be a problem when we put a car over that.
Mm.
And that's a thing to think about before the race weekend.
Yeah.
Can we also think, though, that it was Carlos Sainz and it was a Ferrari, and I do think the mixture of Carlos Sainz and Ferrari look might have been more to do with it than even the circuit.
There is every possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting for it to go complete Sharknado style and the sphere to come loose from its moorings and roll over the Ferrari garage. I mean, it would have looked cool.
Alonso drove round the drain cover,
Oh, that was a career choice, though. He makes good ones now.
Yeah. Not today, Satan.
Ocon had the same problem as well. Because he got caught by, I don't know if it was the same one or a different one, but he ended up needing a new chassis with huge damage from the drain cover coming out. But I mean, the whole thing with the spectators as well.
I think
that wasn't ideal.
That was bad planning on the part of whoever had been put in charge of booking security.
I think that's the bigger issue, isn't it? Is how they handled it. And when you see sort of all the show and the opening ceremony and all that lot, yet no one's figured out what they're doing with the grid covers. It's sort of yeah.
The cover is one thing. Everything else that happened afterwards was a disaster. Ferrari getting the penalty. I get that there's a rule in there somewhere, but I think it's a bit like USA 2005. 10 heads have to get together and go, this does seem like bollocks.
Well, the problem is, it seems that everybody did want to do that. Everybody wanted to say, we shouldn't be given this penalty. But if they did that, that means every single penalty will be questioned in the future.
Yeah, it's true. You'd have to put a stop to it immediately after that happened.
Yeah,
I think they need to write.
It was funny.
Go on.
It was funny.
Oh, is that all you were saying? Right. Okay. But yeah, I think they need to put something in the rules to say that if car damage is caused by malfunctioning street furniture. Not street furniture in general, so you can't claim a free engine if you run over the
you can't
curbs.
drive into a wall and be like, "Oh, it wasn't my fault; it was the wall." But
then how like when a bit of curb comes loose, something that happens. Where people start questioning if there's gravel traps or grass that there. If you give a Formula One team like an inch, it will. Oh yeah,
you would have to word it very carefully.
Oh, just maybe go mega specific. And if you're on a street circuit and a drain cover comes loose and causes damage to the car, this won't count against cost cap and parts usage.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's going to happen again somewhere.
Oh yeah,
but it's such a rare thing to happen. It's more. I'd be more worried about the safety for the drivers, to be honest, than the penalty. But it was just weird. I found it strange. I couldn't help think that if it had been a different time at a different circuit, I think it would have been handled more internally, better. There seemed to be. Well, I mean, I could be completely wrong, but it seemed like lots of the stuff that was coming out in the media was very pointed and more about leverage for them against Formula One than it was anything else.
Well, I think F1 have been a little bit shitty towards the media because anyone who doubted that Vegas was a good idea in the format that it was in were finding themselves with not as many access credentials as previously had. And I think that Formula One, the organisation, were trying to sort of steer the narrative just by cutting off all the writers that didn't. That even cast the slightest bit of doubt that this was a bad case of Emperor's New Clothes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it was a bad idea to hold the race like that. What I hope is they've actually taken some feedback from the teams themselves, because a lot of the teams were saying it was really difficult having to be on what was effectively Japan time, and then moving on 12 time zones for the next race.
Very different climates as well, isn't it? Because it was cold in Vegas, but then you're in Abu Dhabi, which is the desert.
So is Vegas, but it's a different kind of desert.
But yeah, different temperature entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, part of me just says things get the fuck on with it. If I'm honest, like people like climb fucking Everest without oxygen. It's I'm sure you can have a different time zone for a weekend.
It does sound it does sound like people were genuinely knackered by the end of Abu Dhabi. But I guess this is a thing that FIA I say the FIA, Liberty, F1 were meant to sort of slightly tidy up, gathering races by time zones, gathering races by areas. But that doesn't work primarily because if you have races too close together, people who might go to, say, Canada in June and COTA in October are not going to go to Canada in early October and then COTA in mid-October. You can't have them all too close together. But if they want to save or be more efficient in creating their calendar, then you either have to be completely efficient and lose ticket sales, or not be efficient and tire people out.
I think the thing is that as far as the staff side of it goes, they can't have it both ways. So in order for Formula One to make money, especially in the world we live in, they need to do more races. That's fine. I think the between 20 and 23 race season, I think, is pretty good length. World Championship, to be honest. There's sports out there that, fair enough, they don't have the logistical problems, but there's sports out there where you can go and watch your team play every fucking weekend, like for an entire season, or like most of a year. The thing is, if they're going to do that, they're going to have to squish races together if they have a summer break. Mm-hmm. So they have the summer break to give the members of staff a rest. That's fine. I understand that. But you can't have a summer break and not have races squished together. So the choice is either scrap the summer break and then we go back to Formula One how it used to be, where it was every 2 weeks we have a Formula One race, or we don't scrap the summer break and we have to squish races together. There's only 52 of the weeks in the year. Mm-hmm. So, so we need to get these 23 races done at some point.
Yeah, I mean, expanding the calendar beyond, because I think they've said they'll allow up to 20, is it 25 or 26?
I think is the agreement.
And it's going to be 24 next year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I think that, that's just about on the limit of doability. I mean, yeah, you're saying there's sports where you can go watch your team literally every week of the year. That's because you can transport the entire team there on one bus.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. The logistics are different, but we're not worried about the transportation. That's not the issue, is it? The issue is workload, race to race for people. So even if everybody could get transported in the same bus, they'd still have the same workload when they got there.
Yeah, I mean, the mechanics don't just turn up, build the car, do a couple of tyre changes during each practice session, and then do a few pit stops during the race.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
there is constant work going on.
It's easier in the we're all saying this from the UK. It's easier to move around if you're a sports team here. If you're Sutton United and you've got to go to York one week, well, firstly, Sutton, you'd have to be relegated a couple of times, but
just the once.
Totally fucking worth it. Sorry,
I'm much more inhumane, I think, than you guys, because a bit of me just feels like turning around and say, "Well, no, sorry. Like this is my problem is watching the race. Your problem is sorting it out. I'll do my bit, and I'll pay your wages by watching it. I don't fucking care how you do it for me."
Maybe I'm just not travelled enough, but if I turned up. So, for example, for the first time in Las Vegas, my advantage, say I was a mechanic, my advantage would be, okay, I speak the language, that's good. I might have gone to Las Vegas before.
Maybe to the nearest brothel,
yeah. Where can I marry my sister? No,
Arkansas.
Sorry, Nevada. I don't mean that, Nevada. I totally don't mean that. Arkansas, yeah. And also, if there are any listeners in Arkansas, I do not mean that either. But what I come from the Isle of Wight. Look, Google it. We're sister fuckers. So
if we've got listeners in Arkansas, they're still trying to work out why the small box is speaking to them. It's fine.
Alexa, play dueling banjo.
No, she's listening. Look what you've done.
No, Alexa, stop.
Okay, now.
Alexa, stop.
She may have stopped.
I guess my point is I wouldn't know where to get a kebab in Abu Dhabi. That's the thing. At least I can rock up to Las Vegas and I sort of know what to do.
But if you work for Red Bull, there's a good catering budget.
That's a very good point.
You don't need to worry about sourcing your own kebab.
And you also know for a fact that in Abu Dhabi, the place is going to be that full of Brits, there is bound to be at least one takeaway called Kebabu Dhabi.
Oh.
Spaghetti Junction. Yeah. My self-esteem is way low because I parked myself at Haas straight away. I didn't even think I was at Red Bull.
It's a safe job though, isn't it? Because they never seem to sack anybody.
No.
And they should.
I'm their reserve driver next season in my mind. I can't even drive a manual.
We're blokes, we can't even read one.
How much do you think Gene Haas regrets getting into Formula One?
Oh, many.
Increasingly. At the end of the day, he can probably sell his team for 3 times as much money as he put into it 7 years ago. On the downside, it does look quite funny.
Have you seen? I think it's CBS. They're working with Gunter Steiner on developing a sitcom based on a character like him.
Yeah,
it's gone too far. I'm afraid the Steiner meme. He is not and has never been as funny as people try and pretend he is. It's turned into Kimi Räikkönen.
I think he's embraced it a little bit, though, hasn't he?
I don't know. I'd rather see Gunter do stand-up than Kimi.
There'd be more words.
Yeah.
There'd be words.
I'd love to see him deliver some Barry Cryer or something like that. What's this parrot from a brothel? I don't know why it's Toto, apparently.
I can see Kimi being more beatnik than stand-up.
Yeah, careful when it comes to mentioning haikus, because it was a haiku that broke last week's laptop.
That's true.
Yeah.
We didn't even get the haiku our end. Yeah.
Oh.
You weren't part of the podcast then. Do you remember when the Ferrari released those books of Kimi haikus?
Oh, they did.
Didn't you have one to give away or something?
No, I won one.
We were trying to get one to give away. Lee won one. I bought one.
Yeah. No, I won one. I've even got the little letter from Ferrari with it.
Was it like a monkey?
No, they offered me a drive.
You created a seance around the letter from Ferrari just to really fuck up Leclerc.
Can you do that?
I don't know. It works apparently.
Shall we move on to the race?
Yes.
Why not?
And we've got nobody massively disappointing. No DNFs.
That's true. Although I think did Sainz finish in the pit lane?
Sainz finished in the pits because he came in to make a pit stop on the last lap.
And I think they couldn't be asked by that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most Ferrari thing, isn't it? We left him out so long that there was no point in just re-entering back into a race at that point.
But I think because of the regulations, they actually had to change the tyres and then retire the car.
Amazing.
Weird.
I mean, he had the speed for 15th. We're still doing Haas first.
Mm.
Yeah.
K-Mag was last, a lap down, and Hulk was 15th. I think Haas are glad to get to the end of the season again.
Yeah, I think that they're done with this car, aren't they? It's not been a classic. It doesn't.
I'm tired of hearing that from teams. They're going, "Oh, we're happy to see the back of this car." I think that's what you said last year and the year before.
The problem is though with Haas this year, they've seen the back of a lot of cars, about 18 of them usually.
Yeah.
Is it tyres that's the Haas's problem? It doesn't sort of switch its tyres on in race trim.
It does, and then it takes ages, and then it kills them quickly as well.
Okay, that's twice a problem then, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
I think the good thing Haas have got, which they can take away from this season, is Project Hulkenberg was a success.
Yes.
Mm. He did have his doubters, didn't he, Lee?
Yeah. I mean, let's be perfectly honest here. He's not winning the World Championship or a race or probably getting a podium. But for Haas, the worst team on the grid, bit of a steal.
I really like Hulkenberg. I don't doubt that 4 or 5 F2 drivers could do the same as he could do in that Haas, because a lot of people could do 12 points in a Haas, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But I agree. I think that was a wise choice. Really does show that sacking Schumacher, probably the right idea.
Not a crasher either, is he, Hulkenberg? Like he's not someone you see like stuff it in a barrier in FP2 or something. So probably from a repair point of view, I imagine the mechanic's very welcoming.
And to quote, "I'm hanging like a cow."
That was a crash, to be fair, when he had the hanging like a cow incident, but not a Haas crash.
But that was caused by a Haas, though, wasn't it? It was a Grosjean.
I think it was.
Yeah.
It might come across as being slightly controversial given what some people think of a couple of drivers on the grid. I actually don't think it's worth getting rid of any driver on the grid for Mick Schumacher.
No.
I think Mick Schumacher is measurably worse than every driver.
No, I don't think I'd bin anyone off for Schumacher.
I don't know.
I mean, bearing in mind with the only one seat available, that is a very low opinion you've got of Schumacher.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have... He wasn't a grower, was he? He wasn't a grower and he wasn't a shower.
I was going to say, what?
He seemed to just get better at crashing over the course of his 2 years.
I think he got made to look less crashy in his first season because of his teammate.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Who I still think was a better driver than him.
How do you? Well, he was great at finding reverse or
sideways.
I
mean, that car was a fucking shambles. Like the first car they were both given, two rookies in a car which had serious problems, was never going to work for anyone. I still think if they'd have kept him on again, I don't think he was a future world champion. I think he'd have probably seen Schumacher off the next year. Just going through from previous form in junior formula.
I watched one of Craig Rebel's videos the other week about Mazepin, and statistically, he has actually had the worst debut season in the history of F1.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised. Yeah.
Did he do the whole season? No one COVID'd him or COVID'd him.
I don't think he did.
That was the year after, wasn't it? COVID.
No, he did.
He was the year after
he did
COVID.
A year,
oh, was he?
And then I think everyone stopped taking Russian money.
He missed his last race because he had COVID.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Who stood in for him then?
Was it Fittipaldi?
I don't think anyone did. He came down with it midweekend, didn't he?
I don't know. I've
I think you're right.
Seasons, I think.
Didn't we see a Kubica at some point?
He was Kubica was Kimi.
Okay.
No, I think Fittipaldi was
Fittipaldi was
Grosjean.
I think you're right. I think they just raced one car. It was probably a slight relief that it was going to cost less. Oh, someone can't come. Oh well, there you go. It's like, you know, when you've got to go somewhere and then you're like, your partner cancels it and you go, oh, I was really looking forward to going there. Oh well, I'll just stay in my pants.
Oddly specific, but yeah, I'll buy it.
I'm thinking there was a hint of experience in that. Right, Sauber is there about to become again.
Oh God, it's the end of Alfa Romeo, isn't it?
So we've got 2 years of Sauber coming up. Obviously, we'll go more into team detail when we do the season review.
Yes,
of which we will do one this year because I'm going to try.
Unless there's some smoke to that anti-Audi rumours.
Audi is still saying they are fully committed to joining in 2026, so they have officially denied not joining. Oh, I was braced then, Sean. I thought you were about to sneeze.
No, sorry, I was trying to do a subtle yawn.
You talk about a Sauber entry and you yawn. I mean, that about sums up their weekend.
I couldn't tell you anything about their race. Did Bottas try and do a one-stop and...
succeeded. And
did he succeed? Is that the right word?
Well, he was faster than K-Mag.
Bottas had a stinker, didn't he? He finished 19th in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, succeed feels like a bit of a stretch.
Behind two Haas and Sargent, isn't it? And a retired Sainz.
Yeah.
I still stand by
and also behind Yuki, who only did one stop.
I still stand by if you're a Formula One team and you have Bottas in your car, you want mentally damaged, I'm not happy with the world Bottas, rather than happy jokey Bottas, because like I'm struggling with everything Bottas was much better than I'm doing new calendars Bottas.
Yeah.
Anyone got the new Bottas calendar yet? I know a couple of people on our Discord have already got it.
He's been doing month by month
even his
ass
is average
on his Instagram. He's been doing like month by month reveals.
Every year, me and my mate buy each other a wacky calendar for Christmas. I haven't put up a calendar in about a decade. It just sits in the downstairs toilet, basically. And I want to get him the Bottas calendar, but he's not an F1 fan. So instead, I'm getting him a calendar I found on eBay of American Bully XLs.
No, I think that's even better to get him, if he's not an F1 fan, to get what he'd be like, why the fuck is this Finnish guy with his ass out? It'd probably be even more confusing.
I mean, don't get me wrong on the calendar thing. It's it's good. It's for every calendar sold, $5 goes into his Movember. So
his pocket.
So I've skipped out the mental trauma and I've donated $5 to Movember.
That's an option.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, it's nice he does nice things, but the Bottas that wasn't doing nice things won Grand Prix and was in the best team in the grid.
Sure, I don't disagree. Yeah. How long ago was it since he had that photo taken of his arse? I don't mean the calendar.
You see, right? He's a good alternative for you. Bottas tries to joke with everything, do everything now. Michael Schumacher wouldn't even speak to media if they didn't speak to him in German. That's clearly you have to be that level of sort of prick to make it.
Then why isn't Ocon a champion, Lee? Why isn't
To be fair, Ocon out of the car seems fairly reasonable. I think he's just a prick in the car.
Yeah.
I
don't necessarily disagree with that.
There is he does have a dusting of the Adrian Sutils though. There's something about him.
Put down my glass. No, right. I know a lawyer.
So Zhou Guan Yu also
and my good friend Lewis will back me up.
Oh.
He'll have my back. Sorry.
I was going to say also Zhou Guan Yu took part.
You've got a chance to rise.
That about does it for Alpha.
Yeah, but what did Zhou do? Sorry, Paul.
He was there.
Did he finish?
Zhou was in Abu Dhabi this weekend.
Oh, cool. Right.
He finished 17th and took part in race-related things.
Hold up, if Hulkenberg finished 16th, the Alphas were down there, Sainz and Magnussen. Where did Sargent finish?
Hulk finished 15th. Sargent was 16th.
Okay.
Does he get? Are we on Williams?
Segway o'clock.
Yep. With Williams, Sargent in 16th, Albon in 14th. I was expecting more certainly from Albon. But, I mean, that's kind of balanced with I was expecting less from Sargent.
Yeah. That Williams just did not work there, did it?
Mm.
It looked good. It looked good on one lap pace.
Mm. Well, it did until it didn't. What is it with... I lost a bet against my partner last week about this. I said that neither Williams were going to make it to Q3 in Las Vegas. Sargent will crap out 18th and Albon would just miss out on Q3, and they both made it through. Then what is it this weekend? Because the straight is just as long. It's all a bit twiddly-diddly in the third sector, but it's quite a Williams track when it comes to the straights. How did they fall apart in Q1 and Q2? Well, we know how Sargent did. How did Albon?
I'm not entirely sure.
No idea.
I think with the Albon thing, I think they must have sent him out at the wrong time because it was one of those, the track's evolving quickly and the conditions are changing. Maybe the car just isn't good at night.
I wonder, because there is a few sort of quick corners as well, though, isn't there, where it's not just straight line speed. You need like a bit of grip. I'm thinking when you go up the hill into the right-hander, you got to hang on to it there a bit. The coming out of it's like the second straight before you go into the little chicane thing. It's quite a fast entry. I wonder if they struggle with those sort of things. So there would have been something in each sector for them, which has kind of negated the goods that the Williams could come up with sometimes.
Yeah, because Williams have been good at straights and slow corners all season, but maybe it's the quicker corners, which there are obviously some of. Yeah,
but no, it was a shame.
I should have looked a bit closer because turn 9 was one where you can carry a lot of speed through it. There's a lot of cars making passing moves on there. It's one of the rare corners where you can actually pass on the outside on a long, fast corner. So I'm just wondering if that was one that the Williams were struggling with, and that's kind of what compromised them.
Yeah. They don't do slow speed very well.
No.
Too much aero. Tell you what, we'll. I mean, we can't slag Sargent off for what he did this weekend.
Does he keep his drive?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think he will,
I
but
think
I think
we're
there
gonna
probably is a better option out there. But I think they will stick with him.
Yeah. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think it's time to give Drugovich a shot. But I think they keep Sargent, and because there's a message from James Vowles on the radio after the race, wasn't there, saying something to build upon for next year. And I doubt he was talking about the tea he made before he went into the car. I imagine that is upon drive. So yeah, I reckon they keep Sargent.
I'm almost convinced the way James Vowles talks about Logan Sargent that he is his illegitimate father.
I would swap family members for James Vowles. He seems lovely.
He does seem lovely, doesn't he? Like, yeah. I don't think I'd go like full dad swap, but certainly if I had like Uncle James, I think if you're in trouble, like Uncle James would probably help you out.
Yeah. Even just family friend James, distant cousin James.
Like Dad's best mate James.
Yeah, Dad's best mate James.
Yeah. Not your real uncle, just somebody who your dad's borrowed a drill off.
Yeah. He was Dad's best mate James would always like give you a $5 or something if you met him in the street when you were a kid.
Oh dear, right.
Dad's best mate Mike had F196 on PlayStation. Dad's best mate Mike was Dad Mike at that point. Sorry, Father. This N64 won't cut the mustard this week. Off to Michael's, Uncle Mikey.
Now, one team that weren't on F164 was Alpine. See what did they?
That's true. Yes,
they were Benetton then. 12th and 13th for the what do we call them? Self-destructive French team.
All I can remember about
they hate each other.
All I can remember about their race is Gasly bitching about getting the pit stop strategy that he didn't like.
Yeah. I mean, Gasly was in full-on whinge mode this week.
Oh, he got rear-ended, didn't he? By Hamilton.
Oh yeah, Lewis nipped him, didn't he? Yeah.
Oh, was that Ocon?
No, that was Gasly.
Gasly.
It was a slow Alpine locking up, taking a corner. It could have been either of them.
It is full on Team Mard, isn't it?
Yeah.
If it's any other team, it's, you're thinking, there's going to be two angry people when they get back to the pit. But you can see that happening to Gasly. Gasly losing it, and Ocon smugly smiling his helmet going,
Couldn't have happened to a nicer person.
Yeah.
Or at the same extent, you can see that there's no arguments back at the garage. They're just like really off with each other.
Yeah.
It's like hi.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a great deal to say about Alpine because they were thoroughly anonymous, off the pace.
Ocon was under the weather, wasn't he? He's got this sort of coldy chest infection thing that I think Russell had as well.
So Russell wasn't well either, did he?
No, he sounded like in the cool down room afterwards. He sounded quite rough, bless him.
No, he said he'd been coughing constantly since Vegas. I think that's all the cigar bars. But yeah, Alpine were completely and utterly unmemorable. There's a lot of participation award nominees this week.
Oh yeah. So Gasly 2 stopped, but Ocon 1 stopped before Gasly 2 stopped.
Yes.
And somehow Ocon beat Gasly.
Ocon is very good on tyres.
Gasly's really good at being beaten by teammates.
There you go, perfect storm.
Gasly can't. Surely, 1 year I give him more at Alpine, and then he's gone. I think they keep Ocon, and I don't think that because I think Ocon's a slightly better driver. I think Ocon's more suited to Alpine at the moment.
Well, they're going to have to find something to do with Jack doing in a couple of years, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think Gasly, if he leaves Alpine, he struggles to get a seat somewhere.
He's not shown anything at Alpine, has he? That you would, if you were another team, you go, oh yeah, let's go get him.
He's off to the nearly driver nursing home of Williams, isn't he?
I was going to say the Peugeot hypercar in WEC.
The only thing I'd say about Williams is I think they've really took the role now of like the feeder team, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
I know. I know Albon.
Lately, they've always had one feeder, one bottom feeder.
They've.
That took a minute, but that landed. That one landed.
I actually can't say what I was going to say.
If it's about Valtteri's calendar, no, don't.
No. But it did involve power bottoms. But yeah, I just think the only team that would be interested in a Gasly might be a Haas. But even then, I don't know if I'm Haas, because you talk about drivers that suit the teams. I don't think Gasly, the Gasly that's around now, is a better option than K-Mag or Hulkenberg.
Well, I mean, Gasly and a Haas, Gunther would be saying, who fox stamped their feet?
I think Gasly had a quite good few string of races towards the end of this season. It just seems to have fallen apart the last two.
The fact
it's difficult to say with Alpine, isn't it?
That's the thing. I mean, the team's been in crisis all season. I mean, what team bins off the team principal and the longest serving member of the technical side mid-season?
Yeah. And it's not worked out for them. They are firmly the sixth best team. They can't break into the top five, and they're better than Williams.
Yeah,
that might not be the case next year.
No,
the kind of number two in a class of one.
Yeah.
Because I think Williams have actually been the McLaren have grabbed the headlines on like most improved team since the beginning of the season. But relatively, I don't think Williams have gone far behind them up for improvement.
No, I think you see it less with Williams because they're pushing for points rather than pushing for podiums. But yeah, they've jumped up a similar amount of places to McLaren. It's just that the rewards aren't quite as big. Whereas Alpine, I think, are the biggest disappointment. I think really they're the ones that have dropped the furthest from where they were meant to be to where they've ended up.
Yeah, big time.
They were all about, we can get fourth. We can be the fourth best team. No, not by a long way in two places. And until they pull out and get new ownership and then come back again, they're going to carry on doing this.
Alonso returns.
Yeah, all the usual.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen that movie enough times. Christ, I've seen that more than The Empire Strikes Back.
We've got Gasly with third and Esteban. Gasly had one podium, Zandvoort. Ocon had one podium, obviously Monaco. Apart from that, Gasly's best result was 6. Ocon did still fourth at Las Vegas last weekend, but there's not a array of fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths. It's a couple of sevenths, a couple of sixes, and then mostly the 8, 9, 10s. It's not good enough for Alpine.
No, I mean, maybe the new celebrity owners will give them all the pep talks they need. Apparently there's more celebs coming in soon
I believe they've been given a Wrexham shirt. I don't know whether that's going to help with the pep or not.
Well, I always think the best option for success is when something's struggling, is you bring a load of investors into that have absolutely no idea of what they're getting involved in. It would always work wonders.
They've just bought a lifetime paddock pass is all they've done, haven't they?
Yeah.
I doubt that, someone like Ryan Reynolds or Michael B. Jordan or Roy McIlroy is struggling to get into an F1 paddock. It cuts a lot of admin out.
Yeah.
You don't have to get your guy to do anything beyond that one payment. Although Trent Alexander-Arnold, actual genuine F1 fan,
fair dude,
because he's part of the consortium.
he is.
I get it. Don't get me wrong. Like if I had like all of the monies, and someone turned around to me and said, like, if you've got a few million spare, you can buy into this Formula One team, and that I'd probably be worse because I'd pretend I was part of the team. I'd be like sat on the pit wall and stuff in full kit.
Like
it
former Manchester City striker Sergio Aguero, who turned up this weekend in like a sort of fire suit version of his Man City kit and was just walking around the track in it.
Literally full kit wanker.
It was horrific.
Literally.
They missed a T off the name on the back of his shirt. Bearing in mind when he played, it said Kun Aguero.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking Aguero twat, so it doesn't work. It works both ways down at Alpine with the investors, doesn't it? It means that, if you've got Travis Kelce and all that invested in Alpine, they've got a ticket to Formula One for life. But now, I reckon Ocon has at least gold circle access to any Taylor Swift gig he wants.
Hey, we've seen how much those tickets are going for.
I was just going to say,
I bought two of the fuckers.
Oh shit! Thoughts and prayers. Do you want us to send a care package?
Look, I couldn't stand her. Now I like her. We've done this. It's awful. I get it. Right. I don't know where that ends. Move on, quick.
Therapy, by the sounds of things.
Yeah. Just quick. How old are you, Kieran?
Buy me dinner first. I was 33 last week.
That's a perfectly normal thing to do. Carry on.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've turned the age. In my 20s, I was cool and renegade, and then literally the second I turned 30, I went, "Oh, this Taylor Swift's good, isn't she? God."
Well, you see,
some of their LPs.
The thing is, though, you're at that unfortunate age where not yet old, but not yet young. So you can go to one of these things.
Britney song, isn't it?
Yeah, I was trying to work it out in my head, and it wasn't working. But the problem you're going to find is you're not going to look like a father with somebody there, but you will look like somebody that needs all their devices checked.
Yeah, I'm not going by myself, thankfully. I'm going with my, just going to look at the ticket here, 12-year-older girlfriend. Yep, it's suspicious. I'll give it to you. Not
Did
good.
You say older or old?
Older. Okay. Mindset didn't cut out there, did it? Just get that in the books.
I am so glad you said older. I do not want another lineup change on this show.
We would have ended up in a fucking lineup.
Oh, talking of which, Dan says hi to everyone. We saw him on Saturday.
Ah.
No one died. He was having a night off.
Terry Venables did.
That's true.
That's what shady shit has he been going up to? But Dan's
What shady shit has Terry Venables been going up to? No, I think we need to listen to the upshot for that. Shall we just move on and do AlphaTauri?
Probably for the best.
I don't know what that reference is.
I'll send you a link.
Send me a link.
I'll send you a link to the upshot. It's kind of an all sports version of Us, but done better and swearier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, AlphaTauri. Danny just missing out on the points by a neck.
That was a very anonymous drive as well, wasn't it?
He's good at qualifying 15th at the minute.
Yeah.
It's not a useful skill.
How did he end up only 6 tenths behind Stroll at the end? That came out of nowhere.
Probably because they kept telling Lance, check your mirrors, there's a car approaching you, and Lance didn't check his mirrors. Yeah, he only got good at the end. I don't think we didn't really see a lot of him during.
No, it was a very, very anonymous drive, particularly compared to sort of where Tsunoda was.
Yeah. Who did he win Driver of the Day in the end?
He did, yes.
Yeah, I mean that was he's the first Japanese driver to lead a race for nearly 30 years.
Wow.
It definitely seems to have like lit something underneath them, doesn't it? Having Ricardo as a teammate.
I think that's what they wanted. And I think thinking back to when De Vries got dumped and Ricardo came in, I think even we said at the time this might give Tsunoda the kick up the arse that he needs to keep his seat.
I'll caveat this by saying I think if Ricardo doesn't break his wrist, Ricardo is absolutely decimating Tsunoda by now.
Oh
yeah, but Tsunoda has got better over the second half.
Yeah, he's raised his game, hasn't he? And acknowledged that there's now an actual driver next to him, be it Ricardo or Lawson, compared to De Vries.
Yeah, I think he might have taken a lot of sort of hints, tips, instructions, whatever from Ricardo.
In his time with De Vries' teammate, he scored 2 points. In his time afterwards, he scored 15.
Wow.
So he's over 7 times the driver he was with De Vries as a teammate.
Yeah.
And it probably is down to the fact that Ricardo will have more experience setting up a car as well, even though they're very physically different, aren't they, Tsunoda and Ricardo?
Yeah, there's a good foot and a bit between them.
There are pictures of them stood next to each other. It's quite amusing. It looks like Ricardo's taking his child for a day out somewhere.
To a Taylor Swift concert.
I was just going to say,
maybe.
Calm down, Kieran.
Oh, God, the gig's another 9 months away. I'm fucked. Did anyone see the video of him meeting Jason Statham?
No.
No.
It'll be on the Instagrams, as the kids call it. No. But it is literally like, you know how most celebrities meet a driver and they get the photo, they share a mutual respect, and, you know, they act manly. This is literally Jason Statham's waiting for you up at the AlphaTauri Media Centre. Oh, okay. He goes up, it's like a school kid going, oh my God, it's Jason Statham! You know, it's really, really funny. And, you know, it's like 7 feet between the two of them as well. You know, it's not a fair fight. But yeah, he turns into a little kid meeting him.
I mean, that probably made his weekend as well, because I think that is the best weekend overall that Tsunoda's had, hasn't it? It was highest qualifying, led a race for the first time.
Yeah,
and finished well in the points, ahead of some cars that. And again, I think this is showing how AlphaTauri's improved. You'd have expected him to be miles behind at the start of the season.
Yeah.
You know, I'm excited to see what he can do next year. Maybe even eat mushy peas and like him.
Maybe.
I still think he will drive a Formula One car probably to a tenth or two off at how fast it can actually go.
Oh yeah, I don't think he's the complete package of that team.
No, I mean definitely not compared to his much more experienced teammate. But
I hope Ricardo can sort it out a little bit next year, because I mean you've got to think the plan when he came into that team was to be replacing Perez next year, which is obviously not happening now.
Not happening at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a reason they don't want to put Lawson in the Williams, isn't there? At some point, they might need him to replace Ricardo.
Yeah, I think that will happen. I don't think Perez will see next season out.
I know we're not talking about Red Bull, but how damning it is, isn't it, when your teammate? We always talk about this. Like, you always want to be compared with your teammate. No driver ever wants to give anything away to the teammate. You've got Max on the radio going, yeah, just box him first if you want. Don't mind. I'll drive around him, over him, through him, whatever you want.
I mean, the records that were set by Max this weekend. We'll go through those in a bit. What team do we actually have next? I think it's probably going to be Aston Martin, with Stroll in 10th and Alonso in 7th. Stroll managed to pull a point out of nowhere because he was doing fuck all.
Yeah. He did a thing.
We're not entirely sure what it was because I don't think we got to see it because the TV director was that obsessed with showing replays of everything from every conceivable angle, including all those helicopter shots of palm trees with an overtake happening behind them.
Replays of things which they had to show on replay because they missed the overtake happen because they were showing fucking replays. Yeah, Stroll was just very good on his first stint. His hard tyres, he just seemed very good on. He got on working, Sainz didn't.
All right, super fan.
Yeah, just bloody love that kid.
Well, I don't think Sainz had anything working this weekend.
No, he was tosh, wasn't he?
Absolute total and utter. But we're not talking about Ferrari yet. We've got to wait a little bit for them. We've still got to slag Stroll off.
Oh right, yeah, sorry. He was fine. He was good. He was all right this weekend. He got a point.
Yeah,
got his turtle back alive and well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, performed according to specifications. Yep, and Alonso was just doing Alonso things out there. Not signing for Renault, but the other Alonso. Not making bad career moves, but the other Alonso things. Not complaining.
He put in a fine performance, given that he wasn't one of the last people to pit on his mediums. I want to say
one of the last. I think Yuki hung it out for the longest.
He was very long, wasn't he? Because he led.
Yeah,
of course. Because he overtook Lewis.
Alonso was one of the first to pit off the mediums.
Oh, okay.
In the first round of stops.
Alonso went medium hard.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he was in on lap 12.
Lewis roared up to the back of Alonso, overtook him, then Alonso mugged him back, and Lewis couldn't get close again. Sort of last 10 laps or so.
It was an odd race from Lewis this weekend.
Yeah,
just an odd weekend.
The damage on the front wing as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
But even in qualifying, it was a strange qualifying for him.
Yeah, I mean, you don't expect him to go out in Q2, not given his previous form there.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all.
Then again, Mercedes are another team that can't wait to get rid of that car.
Is that 2 weeks in a row he's been out of in Q2 last weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange old team, isn't it? And it does seem to be quite binary with those drivers.
Very.
If it works for Russell, it doesn't seem to work for Lewis. That's worrying.
Yeah, because the winning teams usually get a car that works for both of them without too much compromise. Which is why Ferrari usually fuck up, because they make a car for neither of them. I mean,
to be fair, Verstappen did have to go and win the Constructors' Championship on his own.
Yeah, and he did. And I think, was it the British Grand Prix round? I made a stupid prediction that I think Max had 290 points at the time, and I said no one will. Max could win the championship today. No one will catch that 290, and no one did. It was a stupid prediction, I thought at the time, but no, it actually worked out.
Wouldn't it have been great at the beginning of the year if you had the balls to turn around and say, listen, guys, I've got an idea. We've run one car. And it would have been a solo Constructors' Championship.
Jesus. I mean, that would be a really Red Bull thing to do, to the extreme.
Yeah.
I reckon that next year he should nominate a race, and after that race, he gives the car to Jos. I reckon, what's the kind of next year? Italy. I reckon Max runs it to Italy. He wins the championship. He gives the car to Jos. Jos finishes 47th in the rest of the races, but they still win both championships. Danny Rick wins the last 9 races.
Yeah, 47th. You mean he's going to finish about 10 places up from where he used to finish?
Yeah. PB, lads.
Who would be next? I reckon it's McLaren. Fifth and sixth.
They'll see that as a bad weekend. I thought it was fine. I thought it was all right.
Compared to where they were at the start of the season, bad weekend.
Yeah.
Compared to where they were three races ago, terrible.
I think the only bad thing there was Lando knew, because I think that if he hadn't have had that slide, Lando was on pole there.
Yeah.
That was worth 2/10 to that slide.
Oh,
you know,
2/10 at the very least. I think he actually ended up 4/10 slower than his previous time.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and it was 2/10 up on pole at the time. So
yeah,
that could well be over half a second.
I don't think he would have beaten Max, but I think what he's upset with is when he's had a car capable of irritating Max, he's not used it properly. You know, he's had a couple of times now where something's gone wrong in quali and he's been like 3 or 4 spots back from where he should have been. And it would have been interesting because you saw how Charles attacked Max when he was trying to turn the tires on. It would have been interesting to see what Lando could have done in the same situation.
Yeah, I think Lando would have pushed Max just as hard into the first couple of laps. He may have come out of lap 1 ahead. Mm-hmm. I don't think he'd have stayed there.
No.
Because it's not physically possible to stay ahead of Max's car. Because I always think the way that Max has gone this season, he's driven at 90% at best for the vast majority of races. Because it just looks like he's got more. Because every time somebody is in danger of getting close to him, he just, oh, right, okay, better switch it on properly. And then just sticks another couple of seconds on and then eases off again.
And doing all this while, and I'm sure there'll be some people, hopefully not that listen to this podcast, but there'll be some people that go, well, the car's different, because you would think that Perez's car was a different painted car. A similarly painted car to Max's, and completely different underneath. Now, I don't believe it is. I just don't think. I don't think he can get the most out of it. But the mixture of being mullered by Max, his own limitations as a driver, and not being able to work around like the characteristics of that car, but it shows how special what Max has done is.
Yeah, I mean, Max's talent has been there right from the off. And I'm not saying this. I
didn't think he'd be a world champion, though. To be fair, I'm
not saying this in a crazy stalker kind of way. Listen to the Patreon for more quotes like that. His talent's been there from right at the start. I mean, that save in the wet in Brazil.
Yes,
when he was in the Toro Rosso, points in his second race.
Won his first race in a Red Bull.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I mean, I remember I said back then that I thought he could be the new Gilles Villeneuve, that he would, because he looked so erratic that I just didn't know how he could calm that down over the course of a championship. I was completely wrong. Like he's gone from that to being like arguably the greatest driver Formula One's ever seen.
I mean, don't forget as well at the time, Red Bull didn't have a car that was capable of winning as many races in a season, because it was when they had the Renault engine, and on some tracks, they were up there with Mercedes, which was dominant, and then on others, they were scrapping for 6th.
Mm.
And we saw all the grief, not just on Drive to Survive, but at the time when it was happening, all the grief between Red Bull and Renault. And ended up pulling out the dealer year early, and all those, all that crap that went on between them, and that was just down to the fact that they couldn't produce a race-winning engine.
Yeah, slight off-topic thing here. Just because you mentioned Drive to Survive, have you been watching the Braun thing on Disney?
No, not yet.
I've only seen the one so far.
I really enjoy it. Like it's got the same feeling as Drive to Survive had when I first watched Drive to Survive. The first season was really enjoyable.
Ross and Jensen's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, it also it also made me remember that, and I know at the time, this is Lee confesses to being wrong about things over the course of podcasts. I was pretty excited for Liberty coming in and making Formula One more of a spectacle and adding a show. I'd forgotten how much nicer it was to watch Formula One when Bernie was in charge, and it was just about Formula One.
And Bernie making money.
That's fine. It's now it's about Liberty making money. But
it's the same aim in a different direction, isn't it?
Yeah.
With more eagles. Fuck yeah.
But there was, when you look back at the footage of that season, you remember I'd forgotten how Formula One focused Formula One used to be.
Yeah.
And it was. I suddenly realised that then I thought, oh, actually, I feel nostalgic for a pre-Liberty F1.
You feel nostalgia for 14 years ago.
Yeah,
that is the whole premise of my radio career. Do not take that theology away from any of us.
No, I was about to say that sounds like one of my Spotify. Well, that sounds half as bad as one of my Spotify playlists because mine are usually older than 14 years.
Me too. Just to come back to that topic,
I listen to a lot of music that is eligible to drink in America. But yeah, McLaren. That's where we were. Yeah, 5th and 6th being an off week for them. I mean, in some ways, that's fucking great.
Piastri's well off the pace, though. Well off the pace in race pace. And this is a theme.
And yet he scored more points yesterday than he did the first 9 races in the season.
Yeah.
So it's still,
it's great, but the difference between him and Lando come a Sunday.
Yeah, it is. He's not there yet, is he?
Biggest gap between team? No, Perez and Verstappen, maybe. Apart from Perez and Verstappen, probably the biggest
Leclerc.
Race pace. No, I just mean on average race pace.
No, I think he's more
Stroll.
competent than that.
You think about the amount of times that Norris has been behind Piastri and had to be let past.
Oh yeah, sure, that's happened a lot, especially in the second half of the season.
And then he's cleared him by like 5 seconds, in short order.
I don't want to. I love Lando, but I don't want to disparage Oscar too much. This is season 1.
Lando absolutely. But it's just it's just looking at a. It seems odd to me because his qualifying so good and he's being lauded quite heavily and rightly so. He's had a good rookie season, but I think he seems to be getting the rookie season praise in spite of the fact that he's still a chunk away from his teammate.
I mean, don't forget, he's come from F2, where if you're on the faster tyre in F2, it usually only lasts 1 lap. So he just still has the mindset of let's go out, destroy these tyres, have 1 quick lap, and then just wait to get called in.
He's also not come straight from F2. He had a year of doing sod all.
Oh, he didn't do sod all. He pissed off half the paddock.
Well, yes, he did create a very dramatic episode of Drive to Survive.
Yeah,
he dodged a right bullet, didn't he?
Caused alarming issues for our holiday as well. Yeah, I mean, he's a little slower, but he's still getting the results.
Yeah, I think he's if they were to number 1 and number 2 McLaren, he's perfect because he is as quick as Lando some days and just a little bit enough behind him not to worry Lando on the not so good days.
Maybe I shouldn't complain about it as a
I think
Lando
next
fan.
year will be like the year to judge Piastri by, probably a little bit more fairly, won't it? Once he's had a year in the car.
I mean, he had a shed of a car at the start of the season as well, which probably wasn't helping. And if it's your first year in Formula One, you get a bad car, that's going to knock your confidence a lot more. then
I will remind that we all turned around and said at the beginning of this year that the McLaren was perfect for Piastri to hide in while he got his head around Formula One.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he wasn't very quickly. He wasn't hiding, was he?
No.
Yeah.
I just find it weird. That's the thing. It's not. I'm not necessarily criticizing him so much. I'm surprised that he's as far behind Lando on race pace as he is.
Again, that could like I said, that could just be a confidence thing with being in a bad car.
I think it's probably
season.
tyres. I think looking at sort of his qualifying and the fact that he won a sprint race, I think it is probably that he is still learning to manage tyres.
Yeah, it's probably fair.
Yeah. Right. When next? Mercedes, I would have thought. Russell in third because Ferrari's strategy of go slow and let someone pass didn't work. And Hamilton in ninth. Bad weekend for Lewis. As we've already said. Just not on it in the slightest.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russell, on the other hand, seemed to have the measure of the car this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually Lewis's worst result on a race he's finished. If you ignore a disqualification and a retirement. Where did he bin it? Him and Russell came together. Qatar. Yeah. Aside those, that's his worst race of the year.
Wow. I think what we were saying before, it is right that sort of if one of them is having a good weekend, the other one seems to be struggling. There's something in their driving style and that car that doesn't seem to quite work.
George looked quick from the off, didn't he? As well, he was good in practice.
Yeah, he was. He was on it all weekend. I mean, to say that he's not been well.
Yes,
because he had the post Vegas cigar bar bug. That sounds like an album, but I can't quite work out who.
John Spencer Blues Explosion.
Actually, yeah, that would work.
Sorry, that wasn't an official answer to that.
No, but that would work.
Bollocks came out my mouth.
I preferred the Mark and Lard version of the Frank Spencer Blues Explosion. But yeah, I mean, Russell's been there or thereabouts all weekend. Hamilton just hasn't. Are Mercedes going to come back with a better car next year, do we think? Or are they still going to be struggling with ground effect in year 3?
I think they come back better.
Now we did agree with Scarbs he was going to come back on at the end of the season, so we're going to try and get that lined up for sometime in the next 2-3 weeks before Christmas. There's a lot of questions I want to ask Scarbs about the Mercedes this year and about why it's been so unpredictable.
Can I use this opportunity to not go off topic, but just, I think I did this a few weeks ago. I conveyed a message as if I was some sort of important entity, which I'm not. I'm just another dickhead. But can we not do the Lewis fans? I'm speaking to you. Can we not do the thing where if you can't have a go at Red Bull, you have a go at Russell instead? Because I
can't believe how racist you are.
I'm just clarify. I'm not.
This is at least the second time you've denied that in this podcast.
Yeah, I'm not racist, and my girlfriend's older than me.
All right, Emmanuel Macron.
Don't say it, baby, because you know it's just not true.
Paul, can you cut that bit out?
I've been Jacques for a while.
Can you Jacques that? Please mark that up and Jacques it.
Can I, for the record, I must say this is a criticism of Lewis Hamilton fans and not your good name.
What was my point before I destroyed my career? So why is it that when Russell beats Hamilton, they don't treat it as if it's some sort of, we're the big team, we get together, we're all good. They treat it as if someone no one has said to them, "Yeah, Russell's a better driver, hasn't they?" And they've reacted straight away to nobody saying, "No, Lewis is the better driver." Well, no one said that.
Lewis Hamilton fans. Sorry, I should say, like the online Lewis Hamilton fan community.
I don't think many of them listen to this show anymore.
No, but I don't think those fans listen to the shows anyway, because I don't think those people watch the races. I genuinely believe there is a sect of, and I think it's just Hamilton. I think there is a sect of Hamilton fans on Twitter that don't engage with Formula One apart from to argue with people about Lewis Hamilton and how great he is.
I think there are true Lewis fans out there who do watch the Grand Prix. I just don't think I don't know, have they not understood that, it's sometimes parity exists. Sometimes you can be beaten by your teammate. It's not because your teammate got lucky, your team preferred that driver. What was one of the comments I saw? So Toto on the radio afterwards said to George, that was the most important result for 2,500 people. That's paid for their mortgages, that's paid for this, that, and the other. And all the Lewis fans were going, "Yeah, Lewis had no point, and Lewis was better." Yes, he did. But right in that moment, Lewis was ninth. And he needed not to be ninth. And that was with Sainz being shite. So why on earth are you now having a pop at Russell because he finished third?
It's because there is a group of people that only watch Drive to Survive, and all they know about Formula One is that Lewis Hamilton is kind of a Formula One driver that's also kind of a bit of a rock star, and that's also kind of a bit of some sort of fashion celebrity that wears like curtains now and again, and
lovely curtains though. Credit the man.
And that at some point in somewhere in the world called Abu Dhabi, the evil Michael Manson stole a championship away from him.
It's really frustrating, and I don't, I'm not trying to call out other podcasts. I'm not trying to go for you and go, come on, let's have a bit of
you're going to talk about spanners, aren't you?
I was going to say, mentioning no names, just don't make a spanner of yourself.
There's another one. There's one called, I think, Quick Stop, which it says, "Hey, we're the Quick Stop Formula One podcast. We cover things Formula One." You don't. You cover one guy, you criticise everybody else, and then when your guy's not having his best weekend, despite the fact he probably is the greatest driver of all time, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but just, Lewis has finished ninth. That's because the first 8 cheated. No, they didn't. He just had a bad weekend. Stop laying into George.
Wasn't Quick Stop the shopping Clerks?
Maybe. But that's because there's a few people out there that have worked out, be it subconsciously or consciously, that there is people out there that will just support Lewis.
Yeah.
And it's easier to get a large group of those people on side by just pandering to them than it is to try and have an open and balanced opinion and appealing to all Formula One fans. It's in the same way that they're almost like you get like really heavy religious people on Twitter where everything, like, it doesn't matter whether it fucking rains or snows, it's fucking the Lord which is doing this. And that's every tweet. Every tweet is exactly how the Lord put fucking 97 beans in this tin. And that they get these big communities because, people just want to hear the stuff they want to hear. And I think those type of fans are exactly the same.
Yeah. And there's so many of them. There are just so many people who know. Essentially, it's either people who aren't willing to take criticism, or it's blokes with beards, their profile pictures in their Audi Quattro? No, an Audi.
Yeah, this is an Audi Quattro.
Well, I'll tell you what. My 2 pence on it is Lewis, greatest of all time, isn't he? Yeah. he finished ninth in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, but it doesn't matter, does it? I agree, it doesn't matter. You know why? Because he was robbed there 2 years ago. Oh, fucking hell, mute. Okay. That's gone.
And do you know why? That's why that championship is my favourite championship of all time. I genuinely love the way that season ended. And I didn't at the time when it happened. I thought it was a bit iffy. But the way it's been reacted to, I keep thinking, fuck yous. I hope Massa gets his now too.
Lewis Hamilton, 8-time world champion. Don't you mean 6? 6? I go backwards.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And we've
we've
not even got to Ferrari yet. Right, what the fuck was up with Sainz this weekend?
Grumpy.
No good.
Had they had to make his car after he crashed it in whichever practice it was? Had they had to cobble together his
drained.
car with bits they found in the car park because it's the end of the season and he's trashed a shit ton of car?
Probably.
Because Fred Vasseur did not seem confident in the amount of spares they had.
I suppose it's this time of year as well. They're on a budget cap.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's two. I mean, I know.
Left over.
Yeah, I know we said that the Vegas one was not his fault, but that is 2 very big repairs they've had to do in just over a week.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean it was already on the reserve chassis anyway, so maybe if they make a load of them at the same time, that's not the best one available.
No.
Fred what's his name? Fred Vasseur.
Fred Siriac's different.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I cannot believe it. Sorry. Anyway, he was saying that they didn't have the money to repair the car.
Mm-hmm.
So then twice that happens with Sainz.
You'd think they'd be able to cater for it somehow.
Put that cannoli back. He's just hit a drain.
And then, of course, Leclerc getting second, even though he was trying to do everything possible to finish lower down the order.
Respect for shithousery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I can see what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of Sainz in it, because Sainz with his DRS gap in Singapore.
I just get the feeling, unlike Sainz, he kind of left it a bit too late to think about this, and then
Ferrari left it too late, and then of course, I mean, the jokes were Plan S, waiting for a safety car to pit Sainz for the second time, and. There's been a safety car in 8% of all Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. 8%.
Okay.
So it's happened once.
Uh-huh.
And we all know when that was.
Was that the hanging cow?
Sorry, it's happened twice.
Oh, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8% chance. So, yes, there was the hanging cow and 21.
The infamous.
Yes.
The time. The event.
The hanging cow was still in my head from earlier because that's twice in one podcast we've mentioned it.
So there was very little chance of a safety car.
Yeah.
And they just fucked up his strategy.
Yeah, totally.
Started him on the hard tyres. I mean, the Pirelli tyre strategy said 1 set of mediums, 2 sets of hards is the optimal, regardless of what order you use them in, because Pirelli send out the graphic and the assumed timings every week, and no team follows it.
No.
Yeah, they give these 3 strategies. These are the ideal race strategies to use, and everyone goes against it at some point. Yeah. And they started Sainz on the hard tyre. Well, you can still 2-stop that way, but he went hard, and then officially 1 lap on softs.
He did technically do 2 stops, just for second one he hasn't started again.
Hey, this is going to be a longer pit stop than that time Mercedes couldn't get the wheel off Bottas's car.
48 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
longer to the tune of 2.5 months.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be March before he comes out the pits again. At a completely different track. So, yeah, I don't know what they're playing at with that, but I mean, Ferrari strategy is a gift that keeps on giving. Which is what it keeps giving is other teams' points.
I was just going to say that. It doesn't keep giving them success.
Leclerc got the car round in one piece and got on the podium and...
Good drive from Leclerc this weekend.
Hasn't won in 3 of the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That's a mad stat.
You know, and he's now...
I can't remember the one he did win now. What did he win?
I mean, he's now up to 12 poles without a win.
Of course, he won at the start of last year.
Hang on, let's have a look.
Austria?
One of
he
the
must
A's.
be so frustrated. I mean, I don't know where he goes, but that re-signing with Ferrari must have been a tricky maneuver to get your head around.
Oh, he won in Bahrain and Australia last year.
Yeah.
But yeah,
do you think he's too tied to Ferrari? And do you think anyone will take him?
I mean, to be honest, he's been part of the Ferrari program since 2016.
They own his brother as well.
Oh God.
He's not getting that turtle back, is he?
In a season where good F2 drivers have been dropped by their respective driver accounts, Arthur Leclerc.
Kieran, your internet's gone wobbly again.
That's what happens when you're downloading stuff off the dark web while you're trying to do a podcast.
I think we got the
worst
gist.
2 hours of my reputation ever. In short, Arthur Leclerc, not great.
Bit shit.
The David of the Schumachers.
I think Merck could take him if Lewis left.
Yeah. I think Merck should take Albon.
I think Merck should take Albon. I'd take Albon over Leclerc. I genuinely think there's a good chance Albon, if you give him a proper car, is as quick as any of them.
I agree.
Yeah, it's when is that seat going to come up?
Yeah.
If he has another season next year like this year, or in a slightly better Williams so he can actually perform a bit better and start sticking that regularly in the points above his teammate, I think there'll be teams knocking by next year.
Yeah,
Aston.
Yeah, but it's... Yeah, Aston's a possibility. I mean... If the team gets sold as the rumours are starting up, then Lance will not have a guaranteed seat.
No.
I think Fernando's probably going to be around for...
Ever.
Yeah, I was going to say another 7 or 8 years, still trying to get that 3rd Drivers' Championship.
Fernando's going to be such a strange factor, isn't it? Because I think he's now got to the point where you forget his age.
Yeah.
Because he's proved it doesn't matter. It's now... Fernando's age doesn't matter anymore, and the only time it's going to matter is when there is a dip in his in his pace, and it doesn't seem to be coming at the minute. So I think he's got at least 2 more seasons in him.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he's also only a couple of years older than Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. How old was Barrichello when he left?
He'd have been pushing 40.
39?
Was he? Wow. So it was before he was 40. I had it in my head he was in his 40s when he left.
Raikkonen was in his 40s.
Barrichello, born in 72. Last season was 2011.
So just...
See, I'd be interested to know if this might be a question for Statman when when he's next on. With him being like such a active, like, well, with him being an athlete as well. I wonder if he knows what the guidelines for Formula One drivers are, and likes of the testosterone replacement therapy and stuff like that. Because this is the thing with sports science now. It's not like Nigel Mansell getting in his 40s. It's the stuff we can do now.
Yeah, but I mean, by the time Nigel Mansell was in his 40s, you needed 25 shoehorns and a crane to get him in and out of the car.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Don't take this the wrong way, Lee, but it was like watching you get out of a simulator.
Yeah, it wasn't far away from that. I suffered from the extra width and leg in that situation. I was wedged in from all of the accesses. But yeah,
we had to take the airbox off.
Yeah, I do wonder though. I bet there is something, because you're allowed testosterone replacement in cycling now, aren't you?
Yeah,
to an extent.
Yeah. But that's all you need. It's if you're like 40 and someone turns around and says you can legally put your T levels back to when you were like 25. That's massive. It's a massive advantage for recovery. It's a massive advantage for cardio while you're doing said sport, for muscle growth. And obviously, like Doug and I, I'm not suggesting in any way, shape, or form this is any sort of cheating, because that's what any of them can do it, and all of them can do it as they start to get older. I wouldn't be surprised if like Lewis, Fernando, any of the other drivers that are starting to get a little bit older will be looking into that, because they will be checking all these things, even if they're not doing stuff to replace them. They'll be done in their blood work. So it's I think it's more a case now, because we've got so good with sports science. It's more about psychology than it is body. And Fernando is just, he seems unwavering in his want to still drive Formula One cars. And I was saying to my dad, funny enough, I think this was it. It could have been, it wasn't this weekend, it might have been the last weekend. Do you think Fernando would still be as good as he is now if he'd won more championships?
I think he'd care less.
I think he'd care less as well. I think the drive, I think the drive that keeps Fernando going is because he knows no matter what he can achieve, he will always have underachieved now.
Yeah, because there are 4 to 5. Seb has 4 titles. Would you say that Seb is better than Fernando?
God, no.
No.
No, Seb isn't better than Fernando on Seb's best day.
So if you were to do this whole thing where if someone gets into Q2 nowadays and they go, oh, Logan Sargent, the GOAT, you can't, there's only so much you can take that statistic with Fernando Alonso going, Alonso's the greatest of all time. And then someone goes, well, actually, I think you'll find that Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton's. And then you kind of want to kill them, because you're back to the thing of statistics mean nothing if you're as good as Fernando Alonso, because sure, he's not won a title in 17 years, but clearly he's one of the best people of the last 20.
Do you know the best thing to do to sort of say to those people is when they turn around and say, oh yeah, well no, you 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen this, you say, all right, so Senna was shit then, was he?
Yeah, well, this is a thing. There are some people who come about when it had Prost and Senna not existed at the same time. One of them's a 7-time world champion, probably, aren't they?
Yeah.
Lewis has existed at a time where he's 10 years pre-Max, and therefore he has a significant amount of more, because no one was as good as Lewis at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And very few people were as good as Michael when he was there, even though the car was ridiculous. And not many people were better than Alonso those 2 years. Ferrari was probably the quicker car in the second year, but Alonso got that there. The difference is the years where Fernando hasn't won, he's shown how good he is and how good he still is.
I'd argue if you take Fernando out, as far as Schumacher goes, with Schumacher winning, if you take Fernando out of Formula One, Schumacher continues to win world championships until Lewis gets involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it was Alonso winning those two that sort of made Schumacher retire, because he wasn't the best and he wasn't unbeatable, and the saying is there's always a faster gun at some point. And Fernando was the faster draw. We haven't done Red Bull yet.
We've done bits.
We've done bits of Red Bull. We've done about half of what we want, which is Max.
They won the race.
Yeah. Turned up, drove off, won it.
I've got very used to, whenever Max makes the overtake for the lead, waving at the TV now and saying, "See you at the podium," and then watching the rest of the race.
Hey, do you know what I think's funny? And I think you've missed a trick here, because you are the first person I ever heard refer to Max Verstappen's podcast at the end of a race in the driver briefing room, and now that seems to be a thing. I think you've been robbed.
What?
Wait, who's this?
You
Me?
referred early doors this season to the driver room just being a podcast where Max Verstappen randomly interviews two other drivers.
God.
And
I work for a trademark law firm. How the fuck did I miss that? I'd be in fat dineros.
But that's like a thing now, especially on F1 TV.
Do we say for now, or do we jack that bit out as well?
Well, you just have, haven't you? You just have. Please, Jack, the first bit. I beg you.
I'll put a marker on it. Talking to Jacques, by the way, just sort of belated congratulations for getting married in the Las Vegas paddock.
Oh, Christ almighty. Don't marry her, baby. Do you think that was real, or do you think he was fooling around?
Oh!
Yay!
Good night.
So I just want to go through Max's records that is set this season, and it's Jesus. Right, so
the easiest to name the ones he hasn't.
It might be quicker. So we've got most wins in a season with 19, most wins in a calendar month with 4.
Oh wow!
That's not a stat.
I'm on Wikipedia. It is.
Oh, it's on Wikipedia. It must be true.
Well,
How many wins
61.
did you get? How many wins did you get this week, Max? Oh, 6. It's a long month, October.
It's longest month of the year. 31 days and 1 hour.
Longest month of the year for any Lewis fans.
Most consecutive wins, 10, Miami to Italy. Highest percentage of races won in a season, 86.36%. Most wins from pole position in a season, 12. He now holds the record for the most wins from different grid slots, which he took the record of 9 at the Belgian Grand Prix. Most sprint race wins. He's now won 7 out of all the sprints that we've had.
Yep.
First driver to win 4 sprint races in a season. Most podium finishes in a season with 21. Most consecutive top 2 finishes, 2022 Abu Dhabi to 2023 Italy, so that's 15 races.
God.
Most points in a season, 575. Most consecutive points scored. So he's scored 1,004 points since the 22 Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and that is still going to be added to at the start of next season.
Wow.
Highest average points per race started. He's now averaging 13.98 points per race for his entire career.
God.
Biggest gap between first and second in the World Championship. First driver to lead over 1,000 laps in a season with 1,003. Highest percentage of laps led in a season, 75.7% of all laps. Most hat-tricks in a season, so pole, fastest lap and win, 6. And longest, earliest relative point in a season when becoming world champion with 6 races to go. Although technically, as you said, Kieran, he did win it at Silverstone.
Yeah.
Because nobody's caught it since then. There is another record that he's actually set this season at the Dutch Grand Prix, but I don't think this is one to be proud of, which is the most pit stops by a winning driver, because he pitted 6 times.
Oh, God.
But there was a red flag.
Yeah. I think the 1,003 laps is the exact same amount of laps that the McLaren MP4 led. That was a Statman stat this weekend in its entire season.
And that was with 2 drivers.
Yeah. And admittedly less races, but still. Yeah, mad.
Yeah, I mean, the previous record for most laps led in a season up to this year was Vettel in 2011 with 739.
How much are numbers?
So...
How much are numbers? Surely that depends what the numbers are.
It's actually that stat of him, most sprint races won in a season with 4. It's actually a bit shit.
Well, there was 2.
Piastri won one of them.
There was 2 that he didn't win.
What's the other one he didn't win? Did Perez win one? Azerbaijan?
Yeah, I think it...
Yeah. Oh, yes, because that's when Max and George had their dickhead moment, didn't they? What about that? Because George bore a hole into Max and they had a bit of a tiff afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, let's have a look at the sprint. Yeah, that was Perez.
Yeah.
So it's been one hell of a season for him.
Yeah, he's been all right.
Yeah,
And the crazy thing is as well is because it's been so dominant. It's not like he's walking out of this season going, "Whoa, I need a break after that." You know, he could probably start next weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
He'll be taking a break, and hopefully I'll find him in a practice session on iRacing for January's Daytona 24, and I'll overtake him again.
And then embarrass yourself.
And completely embarrass myself afterwards. But
did you overtake him?
Didn't have to do that.
I did overtake him. I actually went past him on track. He was in a GT, and I was.
Did you overtake him, or were you on a hot lap and he was touring?
It's worse. I was on a hot lap in an LMP2, and he was just coming out of the pits in a GT, but I still drove past him.
Uh-huh.
And then,
Didn't he? Hasn't he also lapped you once, and you terrified yourself and drove immediately into a gravel trap?
This, I think, is the same incident.
No. It's a different incident.
Oh, is it a different incident?
This was at Sebring.
Oh my God!
This was
that record-breaking Formula One chap he's really got in your head, hasn't he?
fucking rent-free.
The guy just driving along and then Max Verstappen turns up and you crap yourself into the gravel. Oh my God!
I mean, it's not what you expect. No, I went into a practice session for the Sebring 12-hour, and all of Team Redline were in there.
Oh God!
And I think they'd forgotten to password protect it, because this practice session is Team Redline and me. And I went out and did a very tentative couple of laps and thought, I'm out of my depth. I'm just going to sit back and watch this.
God, that's mad.
But yeah, he came flying past me, and I'm like, how the hell did he take that line through that con? Oh, there's a wall. Right, we have waffled for an hour and 3/4.
I'd have had to take him out, you know. Just for the viral clip. Just for the viral clip. Can you imagine the numbers that I do on TikTok? If you just drive and you just T-bone Max Verstappen.
If I ever use TikTok, I'll try and find out. But I think I've got an account, but I've never uploaded anything.
We only ever used to use it at work to spy on one of our colleagues who did utterly cringeworthy videos.
I thought
beyond. Like it's like Doctor Who reimagined as if there was a Spice Girls for Doctor sort of stuff.
What?
Isn't it like the last 2 seasons?
It's or the other way round. Imagine if Spice Girls was Peter Capaldi.
I'll tell you what you want, what you really, really want.
You fucking prick. Out of context, that sounds weird. One quick thing. The Perez penalty, the crash.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, Sean. I will let you get to bed soon. Was that Sergio's fault? Did he deserve a penalty?
No.
I felt it was harsh.
I think it was just like an incident. I don't understand why either of them would have got penalties.
Yeah, I mean, he went a bit deep into the corner. He understeered, but not by a massive amount. And he still had control of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And
they both went for the same bit of track at the same time.
Yeah, and Lando had nowhere to go apart from go off track. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Damage done.
If you were to put blame on either of their corners, you'd say Sergio, but I don't think it's enough blame for it to be near a penalty.
No, especially this is with the. I think maybe you should have had to give the place back. I think that this should be the precedent now for that sort of incident. If that happens, like Lando had to go off, I think, it's that either there needs to be a system in place where if someone fucks somebody else up on a race and they get a 5-second penalty, like they can't just blitz off down the road.
I think Lando did keep the place though, didn't he? After that incident, it was the next lap that Perez got past him.
Yeah, that's for me. But the penalty doesn't mean anything by then. The 5 seconds, it's just he's already got that 5 seconds on Lando, and the person you've actually done something to doesn't gain from your punishment, and that always feels a bit off to me.
Yeah, I mean, Max got the 5-second penalty in Vegas, and that really didn't matter. There's a cat fight going on.
There is a cat fight.
I'm just waiting for one of them to pick up a mic stand and hit the other one with it, WWE style.
Smart cats.
Do we do for things like that? Do we do point penalties instead of time?
I don't know if it's an option.
You'd have to give the place back for somebody off the track, and at the end of the race,
MotoGP style long lap.
I like the MotoGP style long lap.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What is that?
They will have on one corner a sort of a separate sort of like a kind of hard shoulder where if you do something wrong in the race, you have to take a slightly longer line than the rest of the track.
But you can do it like racing speed. It's not like a drive-through.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll have seen it at Silverstone on I think it's on Club Corner there. There's that dotted yellow line going around the outside of the corner.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, that's the MotoGP long lap because it's well off the racing line.
God, so out of it with MotoGP. I read who the champion was this weekend. I thought I've not heard of him.
Talking of MotoGP, there is a new team owner in it next year, as I found out tonight.
Is it who I think you're going to say?
It's not your man from Rich Energy.
Oh,
it's Pitbull.
Pitbull?
Yes.
Oh, God. I don't even have the energy to come up with some sort of pun.
Yeah, Trackhouse Racing looked to be getting a slot in MotoGP. And
Crackhouse Racing?
Trackhouse. No, Crackhouse was Rich Energy. Yep, so Pitbull couldn't get into Formula 1, so he's going into MotoGP instead.
Oh, I'm the same as Key. I don't hate MotoGP. I used to watch it religiously every single weekend.
Until I changed my password.
Maybe. Could it be? I was just watching wrestling on that for a while, then realised it was easier just to watch it off the hooky site anyway. But I used to watch it, but it's been that long since I watched. I watched a race a couple of weeks ago, and I put a race on a couple of weeks ago, and I felt like I time travelled. You know, like where you get someone like gets out of a time machine and goes, "Oh, what year is this?" I didn't know anybody.
Yeah, the new champion begins with B. I remember that.
Is it Bagnaia? Yeah, he's not new champion, is he? I think he was champion last year.
Yes, second championship in a row. Anyway, we've
Is Marquez still fucked?
Pretty much, but he's left Honda now, and
has he? Who's he riding for now?
He's gone to
Gresini
Ducati, and Valentino Rossi's brother has taken his seat.
Right.
If I was to say to you the following things: the boat lift, global warming, globalization, climate change, and Dale, what would I be naming?
Guests for my show?
Close. Pitbull albums. There's a Pitbull album called Dale.
Why is there what Dale?
Dale, as in Winton.
I mean, this is all you can expect from somebody. This is all you can expect from somebody who looks like a naked mole rat dressed as a chauffeur.
Yeah.
These are all fair criticisms.
The front cover to Global Warming was definitely done on paint.
According to Wikipedia, Dale is Spanish for hit it.
Hit it, Winston. No, it doesn't work. Oh, my dearie me.
Right, on that note...
sorry.
please help us out by supporting us on Patreon, because it'll pay for therapy.
Yeah. We all need it.
If this was a Patreon show, we're playing Hotel Motel.
And Kieran's internet's died again.
Yeah.
All this talk of Pitbull.
Just about...
Oh.
And
Jesus
Dizzy.
Christ.
I think Kieran has actually disappeared completely.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, you can go to...
I've got you back now.
There he is.
You can go to Patreon. Let him
oh.
in again. Kieran, are you still there, or do you need me to re-let you back in again?
Let him in.
I've let him in. Are you there? Nope, obviously not. If you go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels, you can sign up and support us there. Everything that you donate sort of goes towards the show and our sanity, and the occasional biscuits and cat treats for the cat that you've just heard. If you want to get in touch, 3legs4wheels at gmail.com, at 3legs4wheels on all the socials, and individually on Twitter we are...
at Sean Cowper.
At the Lee Stevens.
If Kieran's not there, he's at Kieran is boring.
He's just messaged
on
to say his
OnlyFans.
internet's died.
His internet's died. Flood is at Flood21, and I am at Pablo100.
Ooh.
Oh, hang on. Has he? Something's gone ping. Are you there this time? No, not worked.
No, he's not there.
No. We will be back next week. We've got a special guest coming up in a couple of weeks' time, a new up-and-coming British driver, and we will have more details about that soon. And we're going to do shows over the winter break. We'll get Scarbs on. We'll try and get Statman back on again. And God knows what we'll get up to. But we will do start the season review next week. If we can't fit all 10 teams in, we'll do 2 weeks worth. How about that?
A 5 and a 5.
A 5 and a 5. Like we tried to do for the half-term review, and then I got ill.
Yeah, we did 5.
And then we did the second 5 with Scarbs. So if we try and do the bottom half of the grid with Scarbs this year, then Scarbs has reviewed every team.
There you go.
Right, I'm waffling. It's 25 to 11. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Ciao, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.